Hey everyone, it's Wyatt along with Ryan. This is The Champion Unlike Any Other. Special episode for you today. Normally we have a guest and we're talking about their faith in Jesus, and that's great. We love doing that. That's the main point of this podcast. But we've had some people approach us recently, Ryan, and they've said, hey, I want you to talk about this, or I got a question about this particular topic. And we finally said enough is enough. We need to address this and get into it today. But first and foremost, Ryan, how are you doing? Summer is here. It feels good, doesn't it?
It does feel good. You know, some people argue it's not really summer until we get to the 4th of July weekend, but I just look outside and say, you know what, if it's warm enough and kids are out of school, it's basically summer enough to me.
I have the opposite opinion. After the 4th of July, it feels like you're just on the downswing. And I know there's plenty of summer left, but that's kind of the halfway point for me. So then you get to the 4th, and then it's like you're on the back half of summer.
You're thinking a training camp in a few weeks, and you're like, football's going to come soon.
We could get into the weeds and talk about that, but that's not why we're here today. Before we get into the conversation, again, you can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can go on Instagram or X, just search The Champion Unlike Any Other, and you get some bonus material, some other stuff that we're putting out there weekly on our socials. But Ryan, a couple of things to get into today. First and foremost, you would define it as price gouging maybe, or are we spending too much as fans on these athletic events? I just want to give you a couple of numbers, get your response here, and then give me your thoughts on if we as a society, and maybe as Christians to begin with, are spending too much on sporting events. According to Sportico, it's a website. You can go and get your own facts, by the way. This is just one of the websites that I found. Yeah. And they said this, 2.9 to 3.3 billion in ticket sales per year is the average for the four major sports in the U.S. So that would be the NBA, the NHL, the NFL, and the MLB, okay? If you go to a global scale, ticket sales are over 56 billion. So make no mistake about it, Ryan. This is a business. This is an opportunity for large corporations, owners of these teams, to make money. And it seems like today, and quite frankly, every year after, it just keeps getting worse and worse. Ticket prices are going up. So where do we draw the line as Christians and say enough is enough? This is maybe too much to be spending on a single game or a night out with friends or family.
Yeah, it's a big question, Wyatt, and I think it's nuanced. I don't think there's a exact one-size-fits-all answer, if you will. And this is my opinion and your opinion of what we're going to get into. We're not experts on this at all, but you know, it's something that we've been talking about and people have approached us on, Wyatt, as you mentioned, because I at least have seen it recently in the headlines when it comes to the World Cup. Right around the corner. You could argue it's the biggest sporting event in the world when it happens. Yeah. It's only once every 4 years. A lot of people would say we call it soccer in the States, but otherwise, the rest of the world, football is the most universal sport there is.
Yeah.
Many, many, many people would claim it that. It's in the United States for a bulk of the games, and then there's a few in Mexico and a few in Canada for this time around. So not only is the World Cup happening, it's happening here in America where you and I are at. And you get these headlines, Wyatt, where I'm just like, what? Hang on a second. Did I read that correctly?
Well, hold on. What are you referring to?
The Attorney General in both New York and New Jersey have joined together to investigate FIFA's ticketing practices. So FIFA, for those who don't know, runs the World Cup. They're a sports organization, and I mean, we could go the next 6 minutes wide about talking about how disliked FIFA is by so many people.
Try to shorten it maybe to like 60 seconds if you could.
I'm not even going to go 60 seconds on it. People can look it up themselves if they want to, but there's not a lot of people who are fans of FIFA and just how they handle their business, I think, is the easiest way to put it.
But they own the World Cup.
They do. So they run it, yeah. They have so much to do with soccer on a global stage for so many different outlets, but they do run the World Cup, the huge event that happens once every 4 years. And again, people can look up their own numbers if they'd like to, but the ticketing prices are just absurd. And you mentioned price gouging, Wyatt. I mean, things like fans go, you know, like I would or you would potentially, if I go to SeatGeek or I go to Game Time or I go to Ticketmaster, whatever it is, to buy tickets to a sporting event I want to go to. And I look and I say, all right, I want to sort them by this price range, and I want my seat to be on this side of the stadium or the arena, whatever it may be. Well, there's been a number of cases with the World Cup where people are saying, you know what, I'm months and months and months before this game happens, and yet there's only this many tickets available. I got to buy them. And this is way more expensive than I wanted to be, but I have to buy them. And it's been proven time and time again, those seat maps that you see online aren't even true. There are way more tickets than that available. They've been blamed for fake scarcity and possibly high prices, misleading fans about the location of their seat. You buy a seat, you think it's here, and then actually you're put in a different zone of the stadium. All sorts of overlapping things that are just not ideal at all. And you could say, Wyatt, the phrase, are they taking advantage of the consumer? Of the sports fan.
Based on what you're describing, I would say absolutely. The big issue for me out of everything you just said is if you purchase a ticket, let's say you're in the lower level, you're 10 rows up, and then you get put somewhere else, that's a big problem because you are overpaying to begin with for that seat, only to be put somewhere else. So to me, that's the biggest issue if that's actually taking place. And so what you're telling me, or what I'm hearing, is that there are actually people who are trying to stand up against them at this point and say, hey, enough is enough. This isn't okay. Yeah. And they're fighting for the people.
Exactly. And specifically in New York and New Jersey that we mentioned, they're getting involved because there's going to be some games that are played at MetLife Stadium where, you and I would reference it probably where the New York Giants and the New York Jets in football play in the NFL, that is. But the final, I want to say it's the finals or semifinal of the World Cup are being played there. And it's not just the ticket prices. It's the price it takes to take public transportation, the train, to the stadium, and then parking that's $200 or $250 anywhere near around the stadium. And so I don't know how it's all going to be resolved. There's worries amongst some people that you're going to turn on these games, Wyatt, that you and I know growing up. I don't know how much of the World Cup you've watched, probably not that much.
But they want it to be a great atmosphere, people in the building.
And there's worries there's going to be huge pockets of empty seats. And I don't know if that's going to be, games that are played in Kansas City or Seattle or Los Angeles or New York, Miami. I mean, there's games all over the U.S. that are going to be taking place. But I think real quickly, Wyatt, we could get into, we could talk about our own experiences or just anyone in general. And especially like you mentioned, if you call yourself a follower of Jesus, do not get us wrong. We are not saying don't ever pay for a ticket to go to a sporting event. I would be the first to tell you, I've been to many games before in my life.
Yes.
A lot of them paid out of my own pocket. Other things, grateful to go growing up or went with dad or grandpa for a birthday or something else going on, or just it's a random Thursday night in June and we're going down to the Metrodome to watch the Minnesota Twins and have fun at a ball game.
Way, to the Metrodome.
Yeah,
not
that
there
was
anymore,
quite the spot. You walk out. And my dad's like, hold on to your hat. I'm like, hold on to your hat? What are you talking about? But the air is all sucked out of the building, literally, when you walk out of the Metrodome.
If you know, you know. Well, let's talk about that a little bit because when we talk about going to events as Christians or spending our own money to do something like that, the NBA Finals are going on right now, Ryan. Mm-hmm. As you know, the San Antonio Spurs, the New York Knicks. Listen to what the average ticket price is. Not even the average, actually. This is as low as you can get according to ESPN. If you go to the ESPN site, this is what it says for games in San Antonio. The lowest ticket price, just under $1,000.
Wow.
For San Antonio.
And
go to New
San
York.
Antonio. Yeah, games
Madison
3 and 4
Square.
and 6 if it gets there.
Yep, in New York, Madison Square Garden, well-known arena. If you had to guess, because I know you don't know, what do you think it would be?
You're saying the lowest ticket price?
According to ESPN, on their website. If you go to ESPN.com, go over, this is what it says.
$2,782.
Not far off. It's a little over $3,000. It's about $3,100.
Yeah.
So, Ryan Mitchell, you get to go first. Would you ever spend that much money? And this is a hypothetical. So for anybody listening, and even us, Ryan, we maybe don't have the means or the money to say we can spend this much, but let's say we did, okay? Hypothetically, I have the money. I can go spend it. Is it a good use of our money to spend it on a game like that for that much? Like, is there a breaking point for you personally? It's so hard.
Yeah, you're saying specifically if I spent just over $3,000 to go to a finals game?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we're Minnesota sports fans, so maybe it'd be different if it was the Wild or the Timberwolves or the Vikings or something. But in this case, say the amount's $3,100, can we justify that as believers? Could that money be better used for something else? It's tough.
I'd say the latter part of your question, it absolutely could be used for something better, but I would point to my own experiences. It was a few years ago, I went with my brother and some buddies to a Vikings playoff game. None of us had been to a Vikings game in a while, and we were all available to go that day, and we said, you know what? We said no to going to this regular season game in this spot where we maybe would have gone, and that was part of our logic. I'll just be honest with you. And we went to the playoff game, and it was a great time. And looking back, I don't regret that the Vikings lost in heartbreaking fashion.
What was just out of curiosity?
The Vikings-Giants game where Danny Dimes made a whole lot of money based on that one game where we couldn't stop him.
That was tough.
Yeah, it was tough. But, we could get blue in the face talking about all sorts of different sporting games. I've been to Wild playoff games before and, other things that I've been privileged to travel to and, see different parts of the country and go to different games. I don't know if there's an exact number where I'd tell you, Wyatt, that's just a bridge too far and doesn't make sense. Now, we can get to a point where it's just like, under no circumstance ever would I pay that much, just because it'd be hard for me to stomach that, for lack of a better term. But I think then the question becomes, at least that I would have, and I'd be curious your answer on this, Wyatt. I know what I would say. Why do you decide to go to said sporting event, I should say? I know you've been to countless things that you mention and talk about that you've seen before, but what goes behind that decision for you to say, you know what, I'd like to be at this in person and not just watch on TV?
Yeah, the one I point to recently, so I've been to Wild playoff games as well. Never been to a Vikings playoff game or anything like that, but went out to California this past March and took in the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
Saw some great games. It was a lot of fun for March Madness. The NCAA tournament was a lot of fun to be a part of. That was a trip that me and my wife took. It was more than just the basketball for us.
Yep.
We were there. We watched the games. We spent a decent amount of money on those tickets, but it was a trip for us.
Yeah.
And we were spending quality time together. We did other stuff on the off days.
You're with the person that means more to you than anyone else in this world, fair?
Correct.
So you're doing it with her the whole time.
Correct, 100%. It was a trip for us. We connected. We got to talk about things. It was really good for both of us. The basketball was just a bonus on top of that, being able to take that in and experience that. So for us, that's kind of how I look at that most recent trip. Now, if it's a one-off and you're going to spend $3,000 or something, you need to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why do I care so much about this event that I'm willing to spend that much money to go see it in person when, as you know, Ryan, most of us have the ability to watch from home. You got your own snacks, whatever you want to drink.
It's not the same, though.
Well,
you're not swept up in the atmosphere.
This is a whole nother topic.
You're not having fun with the people around you, even strangers, where you're pulling for the same team. You got your Zags jersey on, so do they.
And sports bring people together like we talk about all the time, Ryan. Yes. It's a great opportunity to have a couple of hours to be with somebody or a group of people and have a common goal.
Yep.
All that being said, we have the chance to watch it from home. Why are we spending the money to go do it in person? These are all questions we should be asking ourselves.
I think we're wired as humans for experiences. That's
sure.
A whole different road to get into, but I think I would definitively call myself an introvert, Wyatt, but there are many moments, and I'm grateful to say this, but I can point to and say, you know what? I was really grateful to be at that ballpark, at that arena, at that stadium on that day to see that event alongside, chances are it was my brother and or my dad or buddies, friends with me, where you know what? That experience together and building that relationship meant so much beyond the result that was on the ice, on the field, on the court.
Yeah. Hey, I think that's great. I think that's fantastic. I love going to sports too. Like going to a Twins game, a Wild game, college basketball, like I just mentioned. I think it's all great. I think we just got to check our hearts and say, what's the motive behind it? Why are we doing this?
Yep.
Creating an experience or a memory that you're going to carry with a loved one, a friend. Maybe, for me, my nephew. I went to a Twins game with my nephew and brother and my dad last summer, and it was great. The kid loved it. That's something I'm always going to remember.
Yeah.
Just be sure that we're being wise stewards of our resources. We're not being taken advantage of. You got to be very careful when you go to purchase tickets, like you said, Ryan. I think
be
that's
financially
the other
smart. Do some research.
Yes. Do your due diligence. Make sure you're doing everything you can before you purchase those tickets to make sure you're getting the proper deal.
Yep.
Nobody's taking advantage of you. And then don't have remorse about it. Enjoy the evening. Enjoy the time. You should never regret making these decisions. And if you're hemming and hawing about it, going back and forth, maybe that's your answer right there.
Yeah.
Maybe you shouldn't do it. But if you're ready, you're capable, it's not that much, you can afford it, do it, and then have no regrets about it. Enjoy that. I'm not saying you should have remorse or you shouldn't enjoy going to a game. Just be wise and be smart about it and check your heart. What's the motivation behind it? Why do I care so much to attend this event?
And I think when we view it, Wyatt, as, it's a gift to be here. It's a privilege that I've been blessed with the financial resources to be here at this game and not, I have to go. It's my right. And, it's this game, my team is at this place. I have to be there. Like, I know some people in some circumstances could say that, but
once in a lifetime opportunity.
People look at it that way. For some events, for sure, I would say look at it that way. If something's in your area where you're like, I don't know if it's ever going to be back here at this time, but yeah, I think you're so right with what you say on that, Wyatt. And if you don't have anything more on this, I know we want to pivot to something else.
Yeah,
just a larger macro discussion around. Okay, I kind of think of it as that intersection where fandom meets up with walking with Jesus. For you and for me and for so many listening to say, okay, sure you've heard it said before, Wyatt. Look at your relationship with Jesus. Would you say you're a fan of him or you're a follower? Because there's a big, big difference. And I got to look at myself in the mirror for so many years throughout my life and being so consumed with stats or information or the score, whatever's going on. And I would say I was a big-time follower of X fill-in-the-blank team or X fill-in-the-blank sport, whatever it is. And I got to separate those two where my life would be evidence. If you polled the people around me, they would say, sure, he's a fan of said sports team. Sure, he's a fan of experiencing this, but he's a follower of Jesus. And so that is often where I see these connect, especially as a Christian, Wyatt, being in this space. I would be, so out of line to ever say you can't be a fan of A, B, C, and D sports teams, whatever it is. But really questioning, I have to especially look, Wyatt, at the hard losses. And as a Minnesota sports fan growing up and throughout my whole lifetime, there's been a lot of really, really hard losses. How much does it sit with me? And am I okay with looking back and saying, you know what? Monday at school or Monday at work, I was affected by whether or not the Vikings won the day before. Because there were many of Mondays where I was affected by that. And that really is, kind of upsets me personally, looking at myself in the mirror, to look back on how much weight I carried based on the result of my favorite football team, whether or not they won on a Sunday. And I can't be okay with that as a Christian, because that is way too fickle of a way to live life, I would say. This is me looking in the mirror myself.
We talked about it a little bit when we had George Frazier on, and we talked about gambling, and we talked about sports betting and the role that that's playing in our society today. And I would say it kind of applies here in the sense that, am I thinking about this too much? Am I thinking about my favorite team when I'm at work? Am I thinking about the matchups that they're going to have coming up in a week or in a couple of weeks? Am I looking at all the stats? Is it taking away from quality time with family, with God, with my relationship with Jesus? Ryan, we can say, as believers, I'm a Christian. You could line up 10 people and they could say I'm a Christian. That could mean 10 different things.
Yes.
Are you following Jesus?
Yes.
And are you simply just a fan of the team that you're cheering for? I think that's a great distinction. I've never heard it that way. I've never thought of it like that before. But why do we care so much? Why do we care so much about the team that we cheer for that, quite frankly, Ryan, in a couple of days, it probably doesn't hold a lot of weight in our lives? And then our relationship with Jesus, we can't seem to open our Bible, or we're not praying, or we're not spending time with him. Why is that the case? And again, it goes back to your heart. What are you thinking about? It says it in Philippians 4, chapter 8. In fact, actually, I'll read James 1:22 first. This is my favorite verse in all of Scripture. Be doers of the word, not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. We got to actually do what Scripture says. And in Philippians chapter 4, verse 8, it says, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. I would argue that sports is not very honorable at times. It's not lovely. It's not pure. There's a lot of shady stuff going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying you can't ever think about it. Let's be very clear. I think about it a lot.
Yeah.
But we could all do a better job of maybe taking our attention off of that, caring about that so much, and turning that energy that we're spending on that towards what really matters. And that's our relationship with Jesus and telling more people about him.
And I would say, Wyatt, that's so well said. What we're trying to point you to in listening to this podcast, we can redeem what would be deemed as lost in a fruitless endeavor in the sports arena. And you can still be an athlete, a coach, a fan, a broadcaster. I hope
it's your platform.
Yeah, loud and clear with the conversations we've had. If that's where you're called to be, and for you and I, we're not athletes on the field right now, but we're called in this season of our lives to talk about sports.
Right.
And what's going on. And to really point to the redeeming factors of it in the midst of something that can be so sour and murky and not ideal whatsoever and shady. You use that word with some things that are going on behind the scenes. I think of our colleague, Wyatt, Carmen LaBerge, what she says so often. People who are not yet believers, anyone walking this earth will say, oh, yeah, I know what it means to be a representative. I'm a representative of this. I'm a representative of that. Okay, if you call yourself a follower of Jesus, listening right now as a Christian in this world, take that word a little further. How are you representing Christ everywhere you go? How are you presenting him to the people around you, even when you're sitting in the stands or standing in the stands and I'm waving the towel and it's, Wild and Stars game 6 and they have a chance to win the series? Just because you're in that spot that's different than my workplace at my cubicle or driving on the road back to my apartment or talking with family members or friends, those don't separate. I have to be a representative of Christ in that area too. And I think sometimes, Wyatt, I myself have been guilty of this for sure in the past. It's almost an excuse. You get in that space and you say, I'm around all these like-minded people. Sometimes we'll chirp the refs and we'll get upset at the other team and we'll start dogging our own guys and getting upset at the coaching. And it's okay. It's just a part of it. Wait, whoa. Hold up. If I call myself a follower of Jesus, and if you listening right now say, yes, I'm a Christian who's also a sports fan, look at your experiences and say, am I representing Christ everywhere I go? And everything I do, even when the emotions can get higher, even when the noise, literally or proverbially around you can get louder, are you still doing that? And I'm saying this, Wyatt, as someone who's still working on this still today, far from perfect, have not arrived with it, but it's something that's especially been on my mind recently.
Really? Because I have it figured out, Ryan. I've arrived.
Wow.
No.
Tell me.
I would love to give you
Tell me the
secrets,
formula.
and I would love to let you know how to do it, but I got a long ways to go as well. I seem to care way too much often. It's a process. And again, I don't have this conversation with you today, Ryan, to dog on anybody or say you need to do a better job of this or we're condemning anybody. It's just something to think about.
Start asking yourself the questions. Yeah.
Because being a follower of Jesus is a lifestyle. It's not something where you just do it on Sundays or you're doing it, 5 days a week. It's something that you're living out every single day. You're trying to be sanctified every single day to become more and more like Jesus. And maybe it is just as simple as that, is asking yourself while you're in the stands, or if you're about to, going back to our first topic, spend the money on this ticket. What would Jesus do in this situation? Is this okay? Can I live with myself if I make this decision? It's all things to be asking for. It's a conversation too many people aren't having in today's world and culture. And I think with prices continuing to skyrocket and our love of sports continuing to grow and it becoming more and more dominant in our culture, we need to have this conversation.
I would dare say, Wyatt, you go to a sporting event, it's a big ministry opportunity.
Well,
think about sitting on an airplane next to someone that chances are, I guess it's possible you run into somebody, but you've never met before and you may never see him again, but you have this shared experience sitting next to him for this 2-hour, 3-hour flight, whatever it is. Or take it even down from there. You're out for a nice meal with your spouse or with a friend or family member, and you have a waiter or waitress that is serving you throughout the night. To just take that moment, you could do it in that space in the restaurant and say, hey, we're going to pray a blessing over our food. Is there anything we can be praying for on behalf of you? And just see where that goes. Or you're sitting on an airplane. It starts with, hey, business or pleasure? I was just on a flight a few weeks ago. I ask that question all the time just because everyone's got an answer to it.
Right.
Is this your home? Are you going home? And then one thing leads to another. Different questions, but similar space at a sporting event. Get to know the people around you. And I know some people, you may just look at them immediately and say, wow, they're really, really invested into this. I'm here with someone else. I'm not going to get way into the weeds. And I get that and I understand it. But you're putting yourself out there, if you will, Wyatt, in a way, and going to that place. I would say that's a way to redeem it. Fair?
We are always looking to relate to people around us, right? That may have differences as far as what they believe or what they think, but maybe they love that sports team that you love as well, or they want to, be a fan of that team that you're cheering for.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what? I got 2 tickets to this game. You want to come with?
Yeah.
Opportunity to have a conversation. You can grab dinner before.
Yeah.
So there are ways to use it for the greater good and ultimately for God's kingdom. It's a great tool. It absolutely is, because we talk about it all the time. It truly is unlike anything else in our world. Sports, that is. And how it brings people together of different languages, nations, beliefs. It's a tremendous opportunity to connect with people, that neighbor, that friend, family member, coworker, whoever it may be in your life that you're thinking about that doesn't have a relationship with Jesus yet. That could be a great way to connect with them and use something that the world maybe sees as the end-all, be-all. We just see it as something that's a game, that's fun to watch, fun to participate in, but can lead to the end-all, be-all, which is a relationship with Jesus.
Amen. Can I ask you before we wrap, what's the favorite sporting event you've ever been to?
Favorite sporting event I've ever been to.
Or if you want to give me a few, what comes to mind?
Well, the March Madness trip was great. Just going out west, like I alluded to earlier.
But your team you hope to see wasn't there.
Well, we don't have to talk about that, though. That's okay. I don't have time to get into that and relive that. So that was a great one. Game 1 of the Minnesota Wild St. Louis Blues series back in 2017, I believe.
Is that when Jake Allen stood on his head and we lost?
We lost that series. We lost that game, too, in overtime. Okay. Great atmosphere. Yeah. It was a ton of fun when we scored to tie it. Overtime didn't go so well. We lose. That is what it is. Those are the two big ones that have come to mind off the top of my head. Have attended plenty of Twins games, but no playoff games, anything like that. What about you?
Yeah, I was at the Twins playoff game a few years ago against the Toronto Blue Jays at Target Field in Minneapolis, where we won the series. That was incredible. I was with my brother and 2 buddies.
Some of us had to work that day, so I couldn't be there. But
it was later afternoon on a weekday. Earlier this spring was at the Wild Stars Game 6 of the playoffs, where we won our first series, and it's all blurry now. 12 years? What was it? 11 years?
14, I want to say.
14?
I thought it was even more than that.
Yeah, okay. It was over a decade. Been privileged with that, and then other connections in my life to get, either discounted tickets or just be able to go. Last one, Ryder Cup 2016 in my backyard, hometown, Chaska, Minnesota, with my brother. We were on property for like 15 hours.
Wow.
Just walking around the course, just taking in all the sights in a day I will never forget.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah, and that's going to stick with you, to your point, the rest of your life. And it's an opportunity to do it with people that you love and care about and to be there with them. And so I think that's great. And I think we can all do that and use it for, again, God's kingdom. So don't hear us wrong. Go to the game.
Yeah.
Enjoy the time. Make memories. Just be careful about how we're using our finances and everything God has given us, and don't get cheated out of anything.
Yep.
Be very careful when you're purchasing tickets, who you're going through, what the price is, where the seats are. There's a good, smart way to do it, and we don't want to see people, unfortunately, get taken advantage of, which we do see from time to time.
It's the world we live in,
It is what it is. People are not always your friend, and they're trying to take advantage of you. So be careful with that. I don't really have anything else. I just think we need to be mindful of how we're spending our money and finances and ask ourselves the question of, why do I care about this so much?
Yeah.
Those are the two big things. Hopefully, we provided some clarity into that, and people can take something away from this conversation. Again, we're not experts. We are working on this ourselves as far as why we care about sports so much and why we love it and invest into it. But it's something we all should be asking ourselves and thinking about heading into the future, as prices are probably only going to continue to go up.
Yeah, inflation and all those other things that are going on in our society, unfortunately. And I'd say if you're one listening and you feel a little convicted and like, you know what, I'm struggling in that place, hey, that's the first step. Now, what are you going to do with that feeling is what we would ask. And this is not out of judgment or anything, but I would say, I think you will look back and say, I'm so grateful I did. Reach out to a loved one. Say, hey, you know what? Can we talk about this? I'm struggling with this. I'm trying to let go of this, but it's really hard and difficult for me to do so. I still really like this. It's not that I want to just walk away from being a fan, but I do care too much. If you're feeling that way, hey, Wyatt and I are there all the time. We're still working through it. We're still trying to call each other higher in this. It's a process, but you don't have to stay in that place, is what I would say. There's no reason to stay in that place. Right. And it may be a process, but I hope and pray, Wyatt, that people listening to this say, I am a 100% follower of Jesus, and I'm a fan of X sport or sports team. And there's a difference, and my life is proof of it.
Well, maybe we should just quickly take it to the Lord in prayer for ourselves and for anybody listening. I mean, we usually end our episodes praying, and so what a better way to do that than to pray again and wrap this conversation up. So you're kind of looking at me. You want me to go? Or
no, I'm saying if you want me to pray, I can pray. If you want to, you go ahead.
We both could.
Okay.
Just keep it a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
And so if I miss something, feel free to jump in and take it. But Lord, we know that this is an area of our lives and probably many people that are listening that's tough to deal with. If we're spending our money wisely, is it okay to spend money on sporting events? Do we care about it too much? Provide some clarity. Provide some insight into this for us so that we can have a clear understanding and knowledge of what we should and maybe shouldn't do, and help us to understand that it's okay. We don't have to have it figured out right now, but it is a process, and we're getting better every single day at loving you more and more and maybe letting go of the things of the world as we think about how we view and take in entertainment, sports, going to attend that game. Help us to always turn our attention to you and use everything to your honor and your glory. I think that's the most important thing, that we use sports as a tool, as a resource to talk to people, to build relationships, and ultimately further your kingdom, your reach, so that more people can be saved and come into a relationship with you. Amen.
Amen.
Anything to add, Ryan?
No.
Okay. Well,
No.
I'm glad I covered it all,
Yeah.
I guess. But if you have questions about anything we just talked about today, if you have comments you'd like to make, I think the easiest way to do it would probably be head to our social media pages, Instagram or X. You can direct message us on there. We'll see it. We'll get back to you. Would love to have a conversation with you about this. But like Ryan said, have some healthy dialogue with a fellow believer, somebody in your life. If you are struggling with this, if you have questions, or maybe even share this with somebody in your life if you know that they're going through this or they are attending a lot of sporting events, or that does seem to be what takes up most of their time. Feel free to share this with them and say, hey, I just heard this conversation, thought of you. Maybe you could listen to it and let me know what you think. We would love that, any support that you could offer. We're here for you. I hope you have other people in your life that are there for you as well. Thank you for tuning in to this episode. Ryan, if people are interested in more, I'll send it over to you. Or what are the different ways that they can support us as well as we continue with this podcast in the future?
Yeah, thanks, Wyatt. Again, a reminder with what he just said. If you want to reach out to us on the social channels, you can find us on Instagram and on X. The handle is @thechampion_UAO, or you can just search The Champion unlike any other. Find us there. You're listening on Apple, YouTube, Spotify. Give us a rate, give us a review, leave us a comment. That helps us out as well. And we don't take that for granted. This is not going to be what you're going to hear next time. We're already working ahead, Wyatt. We have some episodes that we're really excited for people to hear as we get deeper into summer, and some summer-esque sports and topics, if you will, dare I say, coming on the way.
Some people say that it's the abyss, it's the dead season on the sports calendar, but we know
there's
that's
never
not
a
true.
dead time. We always find
plenty
stuff.
of things going on, and we've got a lot to talk about, and some great guests like Ryan alluded to, so be on the lookout for that. Don't tune us out. Don't think we're not producing content or conversations. There is still plenty to come over the course of the summer months.
There absolutely is. Football will be here before you know it. I know you're looking forward to it.
I'm going to enjoy the summer.
Can't wait.
Because remember, the 4th of July is going to be here before we know it, and then it's the downslide. And it's like summer's going to be over.
Okay,
so
well, a lot of people aren't viewing it that way, but if you want to,
I'm just saying, I'm going to enjoy the here and now and take it for what it's worth, because in Minnesota especially, Ryan, as you know, this warm weather, it goes quickly.
Yeah.
And I'm not wishing it away.
No, you're not. And we don't need to even waste time going to the Minnesota Twins games. I mean, we just joked about sporting events. I mean, are they even good enough to spend our money on?
No comments on the Minnesota Twins right now. Hopefully they can get back to a place where I can go support them, but that's...
This is where I'll say, Wyatt, for being financially responsible, just save my money till the fall when football comes. Is that fair?
Hey, in all seriousness, we didn't talk about that. I know you're joking, but that's another way you can do it. Say, I'm going to skip this game or this opportunity because I'm saving up to go to this one later.
Or if my favorite team gets to the playoffs, I'm going to go, and so I'm not going to go to A, B, and C thing because I'm going to wait and see if they get to the big game.
We didn't touch on that very much, but that's a great way to look at it too. Maybe save your money or look at it that way. I'm going to miss this opportunity, or I can't make it this time, so that I can go to this one later, or I'm not going to buy the $20 hot dog at the game. I'm going to eat ahead of time, or that's another way to save money and maybe make it a little bit better.
We could do another 12 minutes on concessions and how much of a disaster that is. And to your point, you mentioned it earlier. Go with a friend or family member. Get dinner before you walk into the arena, the ballpark, the stadium, because you're going to save some money that way.
You will absolutely save some money. All right, we should probably wrap, huh?
Let's do that.
It's been a lot of fun. Thanks for tuning in. Again, questions, comments, concerns, go to X or Instagram. You can find us on there, The Champion, unlike any other. Send us a message. We would love to connect with you. We will be back with more content, as Ryan alluded to, with some great guests, some great topics in the coming weeks. Thanks for tuning in. God bless.